Hi guys, it's Tell with Oshawa Bushcraft, and today we're shooting part 4 of Kullcraven and I's project on bushcraft cooking in a cup. Now today I'm going to attempt to bake a muffin in a canteen cup. This is actually going to be a first for me. Baking is not my forte. You see, I do a lot of bushcraft cooking, and I don't have old grandfather or somebody out here to teach me how to do this stuff. I've been learning as I go. I read about it in Morse's book, I read it from the forums, I see something online, I come out here, I try it. With 99% of the stuff I try, on my first shot, if I did my research right in my prep, I achieved some level of success. As long as I don't walk away from the fire and let it burn, I'll come up with something edible, and then I just improve on it from there. Baking is another matter. I've probably tried baking 20 times, and of it, 16 of them were utter failures. 3 were just marginally edible, and I was successful once. And it's a tough thing. You don't have a proper oven to work with. You're trying to work with a wood fire. You can't see what you're doing. You can't regulate your heat as well as you'd like. And you can't see into the inside of a loaf of bread and see how well it's cooking. So I'm going to try again today, going off of what I've learned through my 20 failures. And we'll see how it goes. Now I'll move this camera around, I'll show you the setup I have for today, and we're going to let this fire burn down a little bit, and we'll get something on the coals. So stick around. Alright guys, now in the past I was working with my GSI cup. This time I'm obviously using a canteen cup, it's aluminum. I meant to bring my GSI with me and I'd try 2 things at once, but I forgot it. I know what you see in the books and in the videos. It shows a guy put some batter in his cup, put it in his coals, and shovel the coals right up beside it, and then put his lid on and put some coals on top, and in 5 minutes he's got baked bread. I tried this even with dull coals, and in 3 minutes, burned food. I don't know what I was doing wrong, but yeah, if I had those coals anywhere near it, touching my cup at all, it was burned in 3 minutes. The best success I had was putting my cup in a hot fire pit with the coals pushed back right down to ash, and then I just brought the coals in near the cup but not touching it, and I got a perfect muffin. I turned the cup upside down and it slid out and fell into my hand, and it looked like it came from a bakery. It was perfect. What I didn't have going for me then was I didn't have this stove, and I didn't know about this technique about putting a few stones in the bottom of your cup and then putting tin foil above that to keep whatever you're baking up a little bit. So between that raising things up off the coals, and then the stones raising things up a little bit more, I think I'm going to be able to work with lively coals today. What we're going to be baking, some of this stuff. We got Quaker low-fat muffin mix. I went with banana because I like banana, and you do not require an egg to make it. It's just add water. Now they do make this in a smaller kind of a plastic pouch. It's about the size of a sidekick. That gets you, I think it's supposed to make 6 small muffins, but it'll make 1 really big one or 2 medium-sized ones. That's a good size for the field. The grocery store I went to didn't have that on the shelf. They had this stuff, so it's what we're going to work with. Directions are, they give an exact measurement for the water, but it's roughly 3 to 1. 3 times batter to 1 times water. And I think I'm not going to be super accurate about that, because depending on how you're cooking this, just as if this was a bannock mix, you're going to adjust the consistency depending on how you're cooking it. If you wanted to just put a ball of dough right in your coals and try to cook it in the coals, you're going to want that fairly thick. Whereas if you're going to pour it into something like a pancake, you're going to pour it into a pan, you're going to want it nice and thin. The other thing I was missing, if we're just cooking with the 1 cup, I don't have a mixing container. Right? I want to cook in this, I don't want to have to mix in it. So my solution for that was bringing out a Ziploc bag. I don't normally like these because they're pretty much disposable. I'd rather carry dry ingredients in an Nalgene bottle or in Tupperware, but it is going to work for us today for a mixing device. So let's get this going. Now I'm going to shoot for a muffin or a loaf of muffin about the size of my canteen cup. Now this is a fairly time-consuming process. You got to have a good sized fire and let it burn down to coals. So I don't want to have to, repeat it 2 or 3 times to get something worth eating. Right? I want to do it once. Something smaller would probably be easier to cook, but what are you going to do? Yeah, that looks about right. So I'm going to add a little less than 1/3 so that I can top it up as I go. Smells good, I'll give it that. It smells strong like banana. What do you know? I think I got that mix pretty good. It's looking good to me. Alright, let that sit for a minute. Go to our cup. Alright, I picked up some stones. I know they look damp, but these did not come out of the water. It's just everything in here is damp. I'm going to put in just enough to get me one level so everything will sit up off the bottom of the cup. Steps my tin foil. Now in the directions they tell you to spray down your pan. But, spray isn't much of a multi-use item, so I'm not carrying a spray as usual. I'm carrying my oil. So I am going to oil down my tin foil to help my muffin release from it. Alright, there we have it. The line 10. Alright, in goes our batter. Of course, as for carrying muffin mix, I suppose as long as you're making it with filtered water, there's no eggs or milk in this, you could, if you were desperate, you could just mix this up and eat it as a whole. It smells really good and it looks good. I remember at home, Mom wouldn't let you lick any of the mixers and that because it had eggs in it, depending on what she was baking. It was uncooked eggs. But if I got caught out and I was real desperate and I had that stuff on me, I wouldn't think twice about eating this as just like this. There we go. Yeah, if you can see that, guys. It's about 2/3 full, and actually the directions conveniently said fill your muffin cups 2/3 full. So this will get its lid, and it'll be going up on the stove. And it'll be going in the fire. So I'm going to go knock that fire down a little bit, and we'll get ready to cook. Stick around. Alright guys, I pulled my burning logs out of my fire pit, and I don't know what this looks like on camera, but this is still screaming hot. Which is way hotter than I would work with in the past, but all I had in the past was a cup. This time I got the stove and I got the stones going on. So we're going to give this a shot. Okay, now we wait. I'll try to keep you guys updated. Hopefully this isn't going to be take 1 of 4. Wish me luck. Alright guys, we're coming up on 8 minutes here, and I don't know if you recall, when I put this batter in, it was only 2/3 full. You can see it's risen all the way up to the top of the cup almost. And now you can see the little bit I left on the edge here is browning up. Now the direction said 375 for 20 to 22 minutes. I don't know what temperature we're at, but I can tell you I can't hold my hand any closer than, what, about 8 inches above this rim. So, I don't know, we're at bloody hot. Hopefully I got the right temperature. So I'll keep an eye on it, I'll get back to you. Alright guys, we are at the 20-minute mark now. And, oh look at that, our muffin's risen all the way to the top of our cup, and it's actually stuck to the underside of my lid. And some of this is looking good, the center's looking a little doughy. I think I'm going to leave the lid off. So I'll keep another eye on it, we'll come back in a couple minutes. Alright guys, we're coming up on 30 minutes here. Now we still got a bit of a doughy section on the top here, but I'm going to pull it off now because I don't want to risk sacrificing the bottom by burning it to try and get the top to cook. I might have done that already. But I'll pull it off. It says let it cool down before you pull it out, probably so you don't destroy it. And then we'll have a look at what I got. Alright guys, our muffin's had 25 minutes to cool, and it's still hot, but not hot enough it's going to burn me. Let's see what we got going on. So here are my rocks in there. Oh, well, that came out easy. That's a start. Let me get a bandana out here. Look at that. It all came clean of the tin foil. It's better than I've done in the past. It's pretty hot. Tin foil looks good. We're not leaving much behind there. Alright, we got a black spot here, but it's still nice and soft. We got some black stuff in the back, but it's soft too. It's not charred. Now those bits are totally edible. Now we do still have this doughy spot here in the middle. Let's see what the inside looks like. Oh, nice. Alright guys, check this out. I know I told you about this patch on the top here was still soft and doughy, but if you look at the inside, she's nicely cooked all the way to the top. It's just that little patch right on the top that didn't cook, but she cooked all the way through. So if I'd made this like a ½ an inch shorter, I'm pretty confident it would have cooked through. Or if maybe early on I did throw some one good sized coal or two up on top of that lid to get that to cook, it would have cooked all the way through. Let's try this thing out. That is not bad at all. Damn, muffin. This was the Quaker muffin mix. I believe it was the Betty Crocker stuff I used that came in a kind of a single-use pouch. And that stuff works really good too. Just add water. Thor! Thor! Come here! Come here! I got Muffin! Oh, look at him run. You get the black spot. Sit! Sit! Good dog. So there you guys have it. That's episode number 4. Baking in a canteen cup. I don't know what to tell you. This stove I bought was the cheap Chinese made one. I thought it was aluminum, but it survived that fire. It looks a little dented. I might have dented it earlier, but The aluminum canteen survived. Didn't even come out dirty. Yikes. Alright guys, so there you have it. Success. Just better than I've done in the past because it shows I'm improving. You know, you don't have to do this for muffins. This recipe would work for the Bisquick stuff guys use, or you can make Morse's Bannock recipe. I've done that in the past. I think I might start doing some more baking now that I'm starting to get it down. So thanks for watching. Expect one more video in this series. And till next time, go outside. YouTube will be here when you get back. Want some more? No? Alright.